Radio Advertising by Monique Martinez. What is radio advertising? Radio advertising is based on the idea of creating an audio-only environment and placing the listener inside of it. A typical radio spot features a professional voice-over artist reading descriptive copy over an appropriate bed of background music. Important information may be repeated several times over the course of the spot, such as contact phone numbers, addresses, website URLs, and geographical references. As one spot of radio advertising ends, another spot begins, and the process continues until the program resumes. Radio reaches 70% of all Americans over the age of 12 each and every day, and has grown as many of them use it for reading, driving, running, working, and socializing. The average American listens to radio over 2 hours every weekday and 3 hours every weekend. Commercial radio dominates the time spent listening to some form of news or entertainment in a car, as nearly 2/3 of in-car listening time, which is on AM/FM radio. People are spending more time listening to the radio on computers or even their mobile devices. Radio has many advantages over other media. Cost and efficiency is one of the main strengths of radio as an advertising medium because it is low cost. Radio commercials are very inexpensive to produce. They require only a script of the commercial to be read by the radio announcer or a copy of the pre-recorded message that can be broadcasted by the station. The cost of radio time is also low. A minute of network radio may only cost $5,000, which translates into cost per thousand of only $3 to $4. Local advertising on radio is lower on cost per thousand basis compared to local TV advertising. The low cost of radio means advertisers can build more reach and frequency into their media schedule within a certain budget. They can use different stations to broaden the reach of their messages and multiply spots to ensure adequate frequency. Another advantage would be receptivity. Radio often provides advertisers with a very receptive environment for their advertising messages. The Radio Advertising Bureau has conducted studies in conjunction with the research from Harris Interactive that show that consumers perceive radio advertising to be more personally relevant to them than ads on television or the internet. The study found that radio listeners have a unique relationship with radio as a medium because they often are more emotionally connected to the radio stations to which they listen to. This emotional connection can make consumers more receptive to radio ads when the message is designed and placed properly. Another major advantage of radio is a high degree of audience selectivity available through the various program formats and geographic coverage of the numerous stations. Radio lets companies focus their advertising on specialized audiences such as certain demographic and lifestyle groups. Most areas have radio stations with formats such as adult, contemporary, easy listening, classical music, country, news talk shows, jazz, and all news, to name such a few. Radio can reach consumer other media can't. Light television viewers spend considerably more time with radio than the TV and are generally an upscale market in terms of income and education level. Radio is probably the most flexible of all the advertising media because it has a very short closing period, which means advertisers can change their message almost up to the time it goes on the air. Radio commercials can usually be produced and scheduled on very short notice. Radio advertisers can easily adjust their messages to local market conditions and marketing situations. Another advantage would be mental imagery. A potential advantage of radio that is often overlooked is that it encourages listeners to use their imagination when processing a commercial message. While the creative options of radio are limited, many advertisers take advantage of the absence of visual element to let consumers create their own picture of what is happening in a radio message. Radio may also reinforce television messages through a technique called image transfer, where the images of a TV commercial are implanted in a radio spot. The marketer establishes a video image of a TV commercial, then it uses a basis of radio counterpart. The idea of this is that when a consumer hears a radio message, they will make the connection to the TV commercial, reinforcing its video images. Images transfer offers advertisers a way to make radio and TV ads work together. Along with advantages of radio advertising, there is limitations of radio. Several factors limit the effectiveness of radio as an advertising medium, among them creating limitations. The media planner must consider them in determining the role of the medium will play in the advertising program. The creative limitations. A major drawback of radio as an advertising medium is the absence of a visual image. The radio advertiser cannot show the product, like a TV ad. Because of these creative limitations, many companies tend to ignore radio, and agencies often assign junior people to the development of radio commercials. Another limitation would be fragmentation. Another problem with radio is the high level of audience fragmentation due to the large number of stations. The percentage of the market tuned to any particular station is usually very small. The top-rated radio station in many major metropolitan areas with a number of AM/FM stations may attract less than 10% of the total listening audiences. Advertisers that want a broad reach in their radio advertising media schedule have to buy time on a number of stations to cover even a local market. Chaotic buying procedures is also another limitation. It should be readily apparent how chaotic the media planning and purchasing process can become for the advertiser that wants to use radio on a nationwide spot basis. Acquiring information and evaluation and contracting for time with even a fraction of the 11,300 commercial stations that operate across the country can be very difficult and time consuming. This problem has diminished somewhat in the recent years as the number of radio networks and of synthetic programs offering a package of several hundred stations increases. Audience research data on radio are often limited, particularly compared with TV, magazines, or newspapers. Most radio stations are small operations and lack the revenue to support detailed studies of their audiences. And most users of the radio are local companies that cannot support research on radio listenership in their markets. Thus, media planners do not have much audience information available to guide them in their purchase of radio time as they do with other media. Another problem that plagues radio is that it is difficult to retain listener attention to commercials. Radio programming, particularly music, is often the background to some other activity and may not receive the listener's full attention. Thus, they may miss all or some of the commercials. Radio is also facing threats from several digital-based technologies that are impacting the listening audience for commercial radio. A major source of competition for conventional broadcast radio is the growth of satellite radio, which bounces signals off satellites stown over the east and west coast and back down that receives the encode the signals digitally. The major satellite radio company is SiriusXM, which was formed by the merger of the major two satellite radio companies. The market for satellite radio is vehicle owners who choose it as an option when purchasing a new car. The music stations on SiriusXM are commercial-free, while talk channels have approximately 6 minutes of commercials. Buying radio time. Advertising time on radio can be purchased on a network basis using one of the national networks. There are currently 7 major national radio networks such as Westwood One, Citadel Media, and Premier. There are also more than 100 regional radio networks across the country. Using networks minimizes the amount of negotiation and administrative work needed to get national or regional coverage, and the costs are lower than those of individual stations. Spot radio. National advertisers can also use spot radio to purchase airtime on individual stations in various markets. The purchase on spot radio provide greater flexibility in selecting markets, individual stations, and airtime, and adjusting the message for local market conditions. Spot radio accounts for about 20% of the radio time sold. The local radio, by far the heaviest users of the radio, who are the local advertisers. Nearly 79% of radio advertising time is purchased from individual stations by local companies. Auto dealers, retailers, restaurants, and financial institutions are among the heaviest users of local radio advertising. But a number of radio advertisers are switching to local cable TV because the rates are comparable and there is the added advantage of TV's visual impact. Overall, the role of radio as an entertainment and advertising medium has changed with the rapid growth of television. Radio has evolved into a primarily local advertising medium that offers highly specialized programming, appealing to narrow segments of the market. Radio offers advertisers the opportunity to build high reach and frequency into their media schedules and to reach selective audiences at a very effective cost. It also offers opportunities for integrated marketing programs such as place-based promotions and event sponsorships. Here are a couple of my favorite radio ads.
Try out a few Coke Summer sound effects on you.
Yes.
Cool. You okay with this?
Yes.
And this?
Yes.
And what about this?
Yes.
Ha! Gotcha there, Thirst. That wasn't sound effects. That was a Coke. I'm no longer thirsty. You're so out of here. Coca-Cola. Open happiness.
On the empty quarter.
Hold on, Red. I need a drink. That's better.
Hey, Yellow, go easy with that water. It's gotta last till Dubai.
Okay, Red. I'll be careful.
Guess how many weeks it will take Red and Yellow to cross the empty quarter desert from Jeddah to Dubai and win great M&M survival kits with laptop, mobile phone, and GPS tracking system and lots more. Count the colors inside M&M's packs for a clue.
Yellow, you crazy nut, the water! It's all gone!
Ow, you don't have to hit me.
We'll never make it now.
Wir sind die M&M's.
Wir sind die M&M's.
Mit ganz viel Schokolade
Und in bunten Farben.
Jeder hat uns gern.
Ja, uns M&M's. Schokolade schmilzt im Mund und nicht in der Hand.
M&M's. Die Milchschokolade schmilzt im Mund und nicht in der Hand.